The world of Skyrim is full of secrets, Easter eggs, hidden content, and unresolved mysteries. And today, we're going to talk about the latter. One of the few things in this game that has managed to remain unsolved even after so many years. See, I have focused hard on lore, on things that typically have explanations, on things that the normal player base might not necessarily know and would find interesting. But I have been looking to switch things up a bit, to talk about the stuff that I never get to talk about, the stuff that I just don't have an answer for. And today, the subject of this video is going to be Narfi and his sister. Now, you would recognize this fella from the early Brotherhood quest. If you remember, you get a contract from Nazir to kill this beggar. It's basically one of the starter quests in the storyline and it is not given much value. The contract itself doesn't say much, as the reasons for the killing are typically not given to the Brotherhood member before he makes the kill. Someone clearly wanted this guy dead, so they performed the ritual and now you have been chosen to finish the deed. There's nothing particularly interesting about the kill and it is never really mentioned again. The mystery actually comes before this quest is completed, as there is a side quest that you can accept from him before he's gone for good. See, Narfi's sister has disappeared. We're told that she left to get alchemical ingredients over a year ago and never came back. This has left Narfi very distressed and the people of Iverstead very worried. The quest quickly takes us to the innkeeper, who lets us know that she is probably dead, that the whole town looked for her but couldn't find her. After some time looking, the Dragonborn will see what appears to be her corpse semi-buried under the river. Looking over her satchel will reveal her necklace, which confirms it is indeed her. Returning the necklace will finish the quest and the Dragonborn will get ingredients as a reward. It is a very straightforward quest which takes you literally 5 minutes to complete. The body has been found, we have proved that it is hers, and the situation is resolved. Or is it really? Who killed her? What happened to her? This mystery has been plaguing the forums for over 5 years with no real answer, so let's dig in a little bit deeper. Most theories on who killed her tend to circle around 3 possibilities. Number 1, Narfi is the murderer. Number 2, Wilhelm is the murderer. And number 3, bandits did it. Let's start with Narfi, the brother of the victim. See, this beggar seems to have mental issues stemming from the death of his family members. With his parents gone and his sister missing, he seems to have lost it, speaking in third person, becoming an alcoholic, and incessantly rambling about his sister. It is believed that killing his sister, whether by accident or on purpose, was the last straw that made him lose his sanity. Clearly a deranged and dangerous person, he must have killed her as she collected ingredients, thrown her into the river, and forgotten about her. His brain blocking this traumatic event, turning him crazy. Fearing having a lunatic roaming around the town, someone in Iverstead must have called the Brotherhood to have him killed. And for good measure. When spoken to, Narfi will claim that he managed to say goodbye to his father and mother, but never managed to say goodbye to his sister, alluding to the possibility that he was always twisted, that his mental illness went farther than anyone knew, that he killed his parents to say goodbye to them. He mentioned that his sister was the only one that was ever good to him, suggesting that it is possible his parents were mean to him for his disabilities, a decent enough reason for a deranged person to want to kill them. However, when he ended up killing his sister, maybe strong regret, extreme sadness did something to him, something to make him forget, like a mental defense mechanism, and as such, he doesn't remember saying goodbye to his sister. Suspect number 2 is Wilhelm, the innkeeper. This guy seems to be the only person in town other than Narfi that actually seems to care about this girl. So much so that he goes out of his way to comfort Narfi, almost as if he feels guilty. When the Dragonborn comes in to follow through with this quest, Wilhelm knows exactly where he should look. Even though he claims he spent a lot of time looking for her body about a year ago, the Dragonborn appears to find her without a problem. If Wilhelm spent so much time looking for this body, then why would the Dragonborn find her in literally minutes? It's right there, directly below the river, at a stone's throw away from the inn. He tells us that Reyda, the girl, used to collect ingredients on the small island east of the town, that one day she left to collect said ingredients as she always did, but this time she didn't return. You would think the river would be the first place to look. But clearly it wasn't, which is already suspicious. To compound on it, Wilhelm claims that the island where she used to get her ingredients from is dangerous, and that's how she probably died. Problem is, the river seems to direct towards the island, not from the island. So if she would have died in the island, there's no way her corpse would have ended all the way back in town. In fact, based on how the current diverges at the base of the mountain, the only way she would have ended where she ended would be if she was killed at the bridge and thrown off from it, or if she was killed directly behind the inn, where nobody could see, and then thrown into the river. It is believed that Wilhelm killed this girl, probably in some lover's quarrel, dropped her into the river to get rid of the evidence, and told the town that he was going to look for her but lied and didn't. He expected the fishes from the river and time to erode her corpse, eliminating any evidence of murder. He told the Dragonborn roughly where to find her so that Narfi could finally rest in peace, feeling guilty for what he had done. He also must have done the Dark Brotherhood ritual in order to give Narfi a mercy killing, knowing that it is better for him to rest in peace than to suffer a beggar's life without a family. Suspect number 3 are bandits. The world of Skyrim is dangerous. There are brigands at every turn, and whenever a person leaves the safety of a town and disappears in the wilderness, chances are they were just robbed and killed. Many players experience seeing 2 floating arrows around the skeletal body of Reyda, arrows that are actually spawned there by the game. These are not arrows that just happen to be there because of bandit combat around, because of the Dragonborn, because of the guards, or anything of the sort. None of the commoners in town have bows, and the guards in here use steel arrows, whereas the arrows found by her corpse are actually iron arrows. The fact that many claim that these arrows are purposefully spawned there by the game must indicate that she was murdered by random bandits that would actually use iron arrows. This is made even more definitive when you realize that in a nearby cave you can find a dead bandit mauled by a bear. A dead bandit found extremely close to the scene of the kill, holding what seems to be a huge chest full of treasure. Clearly this bandit was robbing the town of Iverstead and must have been doing so for a while, considering the size of the chest. One day he must have found Reyda, attempted to mug her by the bridge, but the confrontation had her fall from the bridge. She must have landed badly on the river floor, broken her neck and fallen unconscious, and then drowned. Karma eventually would have found this bandit, as he would be killed by random animals not so far off. Now of course these are just only theories, since we have no conclusive evidence of what is the actual truth, hence the mystery. It is bizarre, of course, since Bethesda typically went out of their way to make sure that these quests would have a satisfying ending with a conclusive outcome. This not being the case in this murder is already very suspicious. That is inherently my problem with these theories. They are relying on something not in the game being missing, on something that is supposed to be there not being there. Let me explain. The facts of this mystery are as follows. Narfi suffers some kind of mental illness, that much is certain. We know that he has been acting up since the disappearance of his sister, which is completely understandable. However, we're not told whether this mental illness actually comes from the disappearance or if he was always like this. It is safer to assume that he was always mentally ill than to assume that the disappearance of his sister made him mentally ill. We are also told from Wilhelm that Narfi wouldn't hurt a fly, and that we shouldn't worry about him. We do get to prove this behavior in real time when we kill him as part of the Brotherhood questline. When you tell him that you will assassinate him, he basically runs away. He doesn't attack you and he doesn't defend himself. This proves that he is indeed harmless, a person that wouldn't even hurt a fly, even if that fly was killing him. Having a direct quote from an NPC saying that he's harmless and having that fact being proven via a response through a main quest should be evidence enough that Narfi wouldn't be able to kill his parents or his sister. Hence, my previous point, using something that is not in the game to prove that he did the killing is silly, when you have proof from inside of the game that says otherwise. Now, even though I already said that this type of evidence is silly, I do want to point out that Narfi also tells the Dragonborn to be careful, let the mountain eat him, which could be an insinuation that that's actually how his parents died. See, Narfi can be seen sometimes mining the mountain, which suggests that being his job. If that is his job, it is possible that it was also his parents' job. Connecting the dots leads one to believe that it is probable his parents were killed during a terrible collapse of a mine, not necessarily through murder. Of course, it doesn't prove anything, but it is interesting nonetheless. Wilhelm, on the other hand, is a little bit more interesting. The facts are that he cared not just about this girl Reyda, but also about Narfi. Cared enough to look for the missing girl and cared enough to try and make Narfi feel better by giving him hope. This, of course, doesn't mean that he did it. Some people argue that it is suspicious that he knew exactly where to look, that by just giving the Dragonborn some information, the Dragonborn was able to find the girl in no time. I argue that the guy didn't really know anything. He only told the Dragonborn what anyone in town would know, which was that she used to go to the island in order to get ingredients. The fact that the Dragonborn started his search on the river by the town instead of the island has nothing to do with Wilhelm at all. On the same note, saying that Wilhelm did it because he should have found her a long time ago is also a little bit of a stretch. We're not told how long they looked for her or where exactly. If anything, NPCs in Elder Scrolls are useless and wouldn't be able to harvest a Nirnroot even if it was growing directly below their noses. Sucking at their job is really what I would expect from them, not the opposite. So why do I find Wilhelm interesting in this mystery? Well, because of this.
What do you want?
We don't get many visitors through here, unless they're headed up to High Hrothgar, of course.
Reyda. You saw Reyda. Did you tell her Narfi cries? Did you tell her Narfi never said goodbye like mother and father?
If you're headed up to the monastery, watch your step. It's a long way down.
It is creepy and weird. First of all, know that to even access this dialogue, you have to go out of the quest's way and talk to the innkeeper, where you should be instead delivering the necklace over to Narfi. So it is not something that the player is expected to find, which is suspicious. He talks about Narfi, though it could also be that he is talking as Narfi. See, it is confusing because Narfi speaks about himself in the third person, so it could be either way. This weird, creepy dialogue sentence is never explained and seems completely out of place. This one weirdness has even led people to believe the possibility that Reyda could have been some kind of hag, manipulating and charming people, that she must have made her brother go mad and possibly even killed her own parents. That somehow this necklace is imbued with magic, and by giving it to the innkeeper it makes him act like her brother, as in she might have had some magical power to make people go crazy. In any case, the fact that the innkeeper does recognize the necklace is suspicious enough, because if he would have killed Reyda, then it would have made sense for him to have planted the necklace on her corpse, so that if anyone would happen to find her body, then they would be able to recognize her. Then again, he seemed to care a lot about the girl, and the town is so small that it is also very much possible that everyone just sort of knew that she used to wear that necklace, which wouldn't make it that surprising. So really not much to go on with Wilhelm outside of the really weird dialogue that honestly people seem to think is merely just a bug. Now, typically I would agree, it does seem like a weird bug, but discarding it from our investigation is just straight up boring. What's the fun of trying to find cool conspiracy theories if we're just going to discard the most interesting bits of it? It's what I say. Now, the bandit situation is pretty straightforward, so I'm not gonna spend too much time in here. I'll just say it definitely has the sturdiest legs to stand on. I mean, the facts are there, man. For whatever reason, Bethesda chose to spawn arrows around the body of Reyda, which suggests murder. The arrows are different from those that the guards in here use, and there just happens to be a bandit very close in town. The bandit has a big chest, so he already has been doing some good old plundering close by, and the only place close by is again the town. If a bandit were to rob somebody, the bridge would be a good location since it is in the outskirts of the place. Now, some people claim that the arrows do not spawn in their game, and that was the case with one of my characters. It didn't matter how much I looked, I couldn't find them, but then I made a new character just for this quest, came directly by, and there they were, so I can definitely say that the arrows exist, and there was no reason any bandit or guard or even me would have shot those, so it is safe to say that they are meant to spawn there. My problem again with this theory though, even though it looks pretty damn solid, is the fact that it is still very much circumstantial evidence. There is no way the arrows would still be there after 1 year. There is no direct link to the bandit, only the fact that he died close by, which could mean a lot of different things. Her body appears to be a skeleton, which doesn't make sense since it wouldn't decompose that fast in a year. And do keep in mind that there are no slaughterfish in this area. Also, if the bandit wanted to rob her, you would think that the bandit would have taken her belongings, but he didn't. If the bandit didn't rob her because he didn't want it to be caught trying to swim the river, well, that's silly, because clearly the guards and the populace had no idea that this even happened. They had no clue that anything had happened to Reyda since they couldn't find her, and nobody even mentioned the possibility of a bandit attack during the quest line. So to think that it was so close that the bandit could have been caught seems counterintuitive. He definitely would have had the time and space to gather those belongings. Hell, it had been a full year since she fell and died. He could have gathered her money from the purse at any point in time during that year. I just don't buy it. See, my personal theory is that she ran away. Now, I don't believe for a second that she simply drowned on accident. According to Wilhelm, she used to go to the island fairly often, so she must have been at least a good swimmer. No, I think she literally just wanted to leave, and here's why. After the death of her parents, she was left to take care of her mentally ill brother, not being able to follow the family business of mining by herself, or simply because it was not her chosen lifestyle. She instead opted to gather plants and alchemical ingredients, something she clearly favored over everything else. Ingredients grow everywhere in this community. She even had nirnroot growing close to her house, but she chose to instead go as far as the island to collect them. Sure, it is very probable that there were better ingredients in the island. In fact, I agree it would make sense for a person to want to expand to such a location, but denying the fact that she had a free spirit is unreasonable. Clearly, she enjoyed exploring and going out to find these materials. If she enjoyed exploring the island for ingredients, she must have found the cave. And if she found the cave, she must have found a dead adventurer. There is honestly no way that she would have missed him, unless of course the adventurer dying was a more recent event. Reading the book the adventurer was holding must have given her wanderlust, enough to leave this small town in search for a better purpose in life. Knowing that her brother would always wait for her, as he did, she decided to fake evidence of her death, hoping that her body would be found and the townsfolk would move on. Of course, the fake evidence wasn't found, and her brother lived for an entire year wondering if she would ever come back. Reyda, after having left for a year, realized that her brother hadn't moved on, and realized that her fake body wasn't found, and as such, opened up a contract with the Dark Brotherhood in order to give her brother a clean, merciful death. I like this theory because it explains why the body on the river is a skeleton, and not simply a decomposing body. She knew the river better than anyone else in town, since she spent a lot of time exploring it for ingredients. It is very easy to believe that she knew of the body, but nobody else did. It also explains very well why someone would want to kill Narfi using the Dark Brotherhood, which is one of the bigger mysteries. A mystery that is not explained using the bandit theory, which typically is considered the better theory. Now, of course, mine is not a perfect story either, since it also relies on a lot of imaginary dots being connected that are not explicitly shown in the game. It also relies on the adventurer dying before Reyda disappeared, something that we cannot prove. The biggest hurdle for this theory, I would say, are the arrows that spawn on the skeletal corpse. That part cannot be explained. But hey, like I said, it's just a theory, and the reason this has been a mystery for this long is because it is very difficult, if not impossible, to come up with a perfect ironclad solution to this. That being said, I do like the fact that nothing in the game explicitly contradicts the idea that she could have run away, and that makes me believe in it. I would also like to point out something that I don't see getting as much attention as it should, what could easily be a fifth possibility to this mystery. When Delius Gatharian used to be a tomb robber who attempted to get into the Shroud Hearth Barrow in Iverstead. He, however, failed at finding the promising sapphire dragon claw that he was looking for, and after 1 year of attempting to find it, he instead ended up becoming possessed by the old guardian of this tomb. Now, what's interesting about him is that he came into town a year ago, and during his time hiding in the crypt, he started going crazy and spooking the villagers from time to time. He started becoming more and more aggressive towards those who would get close to the barrow, thinking himself as its protector. It is very likely that he could have wounded Reyda as she was seeking ingredients, or merely spooked her into falling into the river and drowning. He is very suspicious mainly because of the timing of his arrival in town coinciding with the disappearance of Reyda, especially when you factor in his aggressive behavior and disdain for the populace of this place. But other than those things, we have absolutely no hard evidence that he would have been the culprit at all. So with that suspect also rolled out, we leave the mystery of the disappearance and death of Reyda to the wind. The truth never to be known and the conspiracy theories to flow. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was quite a pleasure to talk about this. Please let me know down in the comments what your favorite theory is, or if you have a theory of your own. Also let me know if I missed a detail or completely glozed over something important. I am only human. Also, tweet at me or tell me on Patreon if there's any cool mystery in Skyrim or Oblivion that you would like me to talk about. Try and focus on cool conspiracies that have a lot of juice in them so that I can make a long video. Those, I think, are the most interesting. Now, unfortunately, YouTube ads are not enough to support this channel. If you would like to help out, then head on over to patreon.com/MrRhexx, like Alex Fitchy, Toby Oliver, and Dylan Baker did, and drop me anything you want. Any help is appreciated and greatly needed. Have a wonderful week, you guys.